Hi everyone, we're going to look today at things that you need to consider before setting up your game. These are just sort of general things that you need to discuss between your team to help you figure out between each other what your common rules are. We've got some examples.
This is even before you build your team. So we've done a video about that already, but we realized there are a lot of things that you should actually be considering before you start doing all of that, before you even put down the boards, basically.
All right, so an example being is this is the game we're currently playing, which is called the Challenge. Things that became confusing is that sometimes you're given just one condition, which can be a bit ambiguous. So something like where it says friendly champion, and Julia and I were trying to figure out whether or not what it meant by the word friendly champion, whether or not that means only the good guys in the game, not the people that are on the bad side, because I interpreted it one way. Julia said, no, well, maybe it's to do with the people in your team are considered a friendly champion. So it's just things that need to be decided before the game even starts.
And sometimes, so descriptions can be ambiguous, but then also things that they leave out, you will have to decide amongst yourselves. So, for example, they mention markers. So markers are part of that game setup, but they never. And in that game, one player puts down 4 markers and the other player puts down 4 markers, and then it's never specified which markers which team is supposed to pick up. So it could be your own, it could be your opponent's, or it could be all of them. So rather than trying to really guess what the author was trying to get at, it's best to just agree amongst yourselves what would make sense. So the most important thing is that the players agree with each other, that they have the same understanding of how they are going to play the game and what the goals are.
So what Julia's trying to explain is in this one where she's saying exactly that, it doesn't make it very clear what the actual objective of this game was. Yes, you had to put down markers, but we were like, well, are we trying to protect our markers only? Are we trying to chase down someone else's markers? Are we trying to get as many markers as possible? We weren't really sure. And so we ended up saying, well, we're probably going to do a capture the flag, because otherwise it's very easy for you to just decide, well, this is my player, so I'm going to put a marker directly in front of him, so that as soon as he activates, he can grab his marker and I can get more markers very quickly. And that sort of, for us, was like, well, that kind of takes away the point. We want to be in conflict. We want to be able to use our spells. So I placed all of my markers on that side, which is where my gameplay started over here. And so, that meant that we're probably going to have the most of our conflict in the middle of this stage in the middles, which is kind of what's happening at the moment. So that's why we say you just need to figure out what it is that the game is asking you to do, and then try and figure out how you're going to play that as a team.
Exactly. So if you're not sure what the game wants you to do, just agree with each other what you would like to play, like what you would like the objective of the game to be. And that is a lot more important than what the actual author was trying to convey, like if it's not clear.
Yeah. So the next thing to consider is when you're choosing your teams, we obviously have a separate video about how to choose teams, but something to consider even before you do that is how you're going to choose your team. So not just between, sort of good versus evil. It's going to be like, well, once I choose my characters, can I compare that to Julia's cards to make sure that the characters that I've chosen are going to be able to stand up against your characters? Like, so one of the first things to consider is, are we putting the cards on the board for everyone to see, or is it that you're just going to keep the cards to yourself?
I mean, the way the game describes it, of course, during the game, they are on the board. So during the game, everyone can see everyone else's cards. But in the setup phase, like one person might take a bit longer, one person is a bit quicker, and while someone else is still choosing their characters, your opponent might already be picking up spells. And some of the spells are actually unique. So there's only one spell of a type. Some spells have multiples, like Petrificus Totalis, for example, but other spells there's just one type of. So you will have to agree with each other.
So whether do you roll the die to decide who goes first? Is it you get one turn, I get another turn? or is it just free for all because you don't really care? So I think that's sort of the main thing that we're trying to say in terms of setup is to decide.
Like, if you're okay with your opponent watching you choose your team as they choose theirs, like how often, like how many iterations of changing your deck based on your opponent's deck are you allowing? Things like that. Like, is it endlessly? Would you just go back and forth? Or if you take that poison, I will take this antidote. Oh, then I won't take that poison, and so on and so forth. So technically, it could go on forever if you really went hardcore with that. Or do you just say like, I just choose my own team and then I uncover it, and then when we pick the spells, we might actually look at each other's cards or things like that. So there's a lot of
variables,
a lot of different variations you can agree on to make it kind of fair to each other.
Yeah, and I think that's the main points is just to figure out.
And then also, so that's you setting up the game and making your team, and once you play the game, it's also good to agree beforehand whether there's anyone who keeps track of, for example, the victory points. Like, you could have a sheet of paper where you note them down as you play, because you will have victory points accrued by gameplay, but also by quest cards, for example, and you never know what might come up.
Yeah, so an example, like quest cards sometimes give additional victory points, so there's definitely needs to be like a magical master, we're not really sure what to call them, someone who just makes sure...
The master might just be a sheet of paper, and you and the other players are just, you know, equally responsible for keeping tabs on each other as well as yourself. Same goes for the cooldown clocks or any effects that are timing out or whatever.
Yeah, so
it's really just being alert at all times of what is happening in the game.
Exactly. So when we're going into magical phase, which is the first round, but it's also the thing that happens after each round, really is the magical round, where you have to replenish your different points and the clocks and that. It's just making sure that either everyone's accountable for their own stuff or that someone is just double checking it, because it just makes sense that, you know, effects are being removed and that everyone's not going to be at a problem later where they go, hey, actually you were supposed to do that thing. So just you'll find your own comfort with them as you get along and you play it more often. I'm sure it'll be making more sense.
Yeah, so hope that made some sense, and it will save you some of the headache that we had when we started our last game. So that's just a few tips we have.
Great.
So
thanks, guys.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. If you liked our videos with this explanation, take a look at some of our how-to videos and things to consider when playing your Harry Potter Miniatures Adventure game by Knights Models.